Greetings, Deep Dive Podcast listeners. This is your boy, Sam Orum, coming at you with another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Well, most of you know this is Black History Month, and we are celebrating Black History. And tonight's episode, the February 9th episode of the Deep Dive Podcast, we're going to get right into another topic that I think is incredible, and I think that can empower the Black community. I do know that we have people who are tuned in all over the world. Welcome to all of you. I appreciate your support as usual. Every week, I like to start out by thanking all of the supporters, because obviously you could be doing so many other things with your time. So I really appreciate the time and effort that you put in terms of supporting the Deep Dive Podcast. I really, really, really do appreciate that. For those of you who are new, welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast. We're expanding every single week. It's amazing the numbers and the support that we have. So I'm really excited about that. But I ask that you continue to support by subscribing, downloading, sharing. We're on all the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube, and we have our own website, the deepdivepodcast.live, where you can actually listen or take a look at all of the previous episodes. There's a lot of information and content there. So I certainly thank you for your support. But I really want to get into tonight's topic. Again, we're celebrating Black History Month. And a couple of things I wanted to do throughout the month. One is just to kind of share with you some historical perspectives in terms of some of the things that, we may have done as a Black community, and some of the things that we may need to look forward to. But tonight, I want to kind of get into some economics of the Black community, Black history. Now, again, I'm speaking specifically about Black history and the Black community because this is Black History Month. We're going to do the same thing for our Latino brothers and sisters and everybody else. I mean, really, we're not just trying to segment anything, but we do want to highlight the Black community during Black History Month. One of the most important things for me in terms of Black history, understanding what has happened so we're being prepared for what will happen, is to understand the keys to owning your own business as a Black man, as a Black woman, as a Black family, being able to own your own business. And tonight I wanted to just kind of share eight keys to success and making sure that you have a successful Black-owned business. There are some intangibles that are very important as it relates to owning a business, in particular a Black-owned business, because the nuances of owning a Black-owned business or a Black-owned company or whatever it may be, it's a lot different than a lot of other communities. And so these are some of the things that we have to really be keen on as we're building. So if you have something to write this down, I'm not going to keep this podcast very long. It'll be short, but I want you to highlight these 8 points. If you're driving or whatever the case may be, come back and take a listen to it, write some of the information down, look at it on YouTube, whatever you're going to do. But make sure you highlight these 8 keys to a successful Black-owned business. The first key, believe it or not, is just networking. Networking, write that down. Being able to build strong relationships with other Black business owners. And think about it, not only Black business owners, but also professionals. These individuals, business owners, Black professionals, they can provide a valuable level of support and other opportunities for your business to grow. We can co-op, and I say we because I'm a Black business owner as well. Shout out to One Voice Worldwide, Hot Shot Mall. this radio station. So, but you know, we can provide a variety of support and different opportunities for your business to grow if we support each other. One of the things that a good friend of mine told me about business, when I first started out in business so many years ago now, and talking about the Black community and supporting each other, he's like, look, our ice is just as cold as anybody else's ice. You think about that. Our ice is just as cold as anybody else's ice. So what is the difference? The difference is, how do you treat and take care of your business? And would your business positively or negatively affect my life or my business? So what that means is we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that if we're going to co-op and work together and network together and build together and all of these things, that you know you have a certain level of respect for your business that could only elevate or match the level of respect that I have for mine. In other words, you're not obligated to do business with other Black owned companies or businesses or things of that nature. You got people, we have to step up. Most of the times we have to step up, even to a greater degree than the average business, because the Black community holds us to such a high standard, not because the standard is high, but because we just really lack support. And so we're looking for reasons not to do certain things, or we're looking for reasons. I remember some time ago, I was doing another business, and it was a telecom business, and one of the Black sisters I was talking to, just talking to about business, and she was like, well, this was a telecom business. She said, well, asking what's the acronym of it, was a company called LCI. It was a telecom company. She said, well, what does LCI stand for? I'm like, I don't know. What does AT&T stand for? Who cares? That's who cares? I don't care what AT&T or LCI stand for. The point was, she wasn't asking that question because she genuinely wanted to know what the acronym for LCI was. That wasn't why she was asking. She was asking to not do business with me. Right. So a lot of times in the community, people will just try to give you a hard time. They'll, just do all this crazy stuff to not do business. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying networking. What I'm talking about is getting with people who of like minds, like spirits, understand the value of working together, understanding the value of circulating our income, our dollars spent in the community, so that we can continue to empower each other's business and make each other's business grow. So that, as far as networking, is a great, great tool to be successful. Something else, the second thing you want to write down, is actually education and skill development. Now, so education and skill development. Now, those are two things that I want to make sure that I'm clear on. When I'm talking about education, in the sense of you studying your craft and becoming better at what you're doing. Educate yourself on what it is that you're doing, even whether it's through higher education or not. You can educate yourself on your chosen field, your chosen industry. And that goes into the whole skill development part. So we're talking about education and skill development. So if you want to be a great baker, Baker, bake goods, right? Then study the skills that are required for you to become a perfect baker. whatever the industry may be, mechanic, whatever it may be, right? Study the skill. Now, a lot of times I've heard this from people, and this is true. They like the best lesson is to just do it. That there is some truth to that, but amazingly though, sometimes you'll lose a lot of time and money just going through trial and error. And again, there's no big deal that you go through trial and error, but sometimes if you just go through a process of education. I know I talk a lot about in past episodes, YouTube University. I learned so much just by going to YouTube, just by studying different varying, entities where you can educate yourself and develop your skill on whatever it is that you're doing. And this is not just for business, by the way. It could be in every aspect of your life, whether it's your marriage, whether it's, mentorship, whatever it is. I don't want to get off track, but to develop your skill is super important no matter what it is that you're doing. The third thing you want to do in terms of, and write this down, building a successful business is have access to capital. Access to capital. Securing resources, Black community, uh, they are in other communities. A challenge is kind of, it's not a good thing that they look at us in a certain type of way. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. I've said it in the past. I used Magic Johnson as an example. He was getting into business, and this was prior to him getting the TGI Fridays, the movie theaters, the Starbucks. This was like, right when he started his entrepreneurial endeavors. And he went to lending institutions and things of that nature. He had already been in the NBA. So he has some semblance of money. He had, reputation. People know who he was. But I think, and don't quote me on the exact number, but about 14 times he was turned down for financing when he wanted to get the Magic Johnson theaters and things of that nature. I want to say it was about 14 times. I know it was double digits. What is it that would cause a financial institution to turn down a Magic Johnson, someone that, again, he has money. I'm sure he was contributing whatever he needed to in terms of getting these theaters. The reputation is there, all of these things. Why is it that he was turned down, double digit times? Well, I can't give you the specific answer to that, but I can tell you that it is incredibly difficult to secure capital. I think one of the things that I need to do with the podcast is really just go through a step-by-step approach of what you need to have in place so that you cannot be denied, or majorly lessen the chances of you being denied for capital, because a lot of times all it takes is one little thing, especially in the Black community, that's not in place for you to be denied, whether that's credit issues, whether that's your corporation, you're, not having your proper infrastructure in terms of tax ID, things of that nature. All it takes is one little thing for you to be denied. So we need to get educated on that. But at the end of the day, access to capital is going to be super important in terms of your long-term success in building your business. The fourth thing is diversification. Diversification. Now, when I'm talking about diversification, a lot of times you may have a particular type business. Let's just say you have a restaurant and you sell barbecue ribs or whatever it may be, barbecue chicken, right? When I talk about diversification, sometimes product diversification or service diversification, wonder if, as opposed to you buying your barbecue sauce from another vendor, I wonder if you purchased your barbecue sauce from another Black vendor, Black owned company, or check this out, do your due diligence to create your own version of barbecue sauce, and not only use that for your own venue, but you can sell it mainstream to other public venues, restaurants, grocery stores, whatever it may be. That's diversification of products. Whatever it may be, anything that could extend, your resources in the same field that would give you an opportunity to make more money. So diversification of products and services is very important. It's also diversification of your clientele. That can help as well in terms of building your business. It can help reduce the risk. It can help, so many different things in terms of exposure, getting out there, other people getting the message out on your business. So diversification is super important. I think you want to take a look at that, even if you're starting a business or if you haven't have a business already. Diversification of products, services. Some of you know, most of you know that I have multiple businesses, and one of the companies that I have is the Hot Shot Malls, called Hot Shot Mall. Thousands of products, I should say, and I wanted to specifically diversify because I wanted to expand the opportunity, not just here in America, but around the world. Not just women's clothes, but men's clothes and kids' clothes and pet stuff and these type things. That's diversification of products, diversification of services. These things are very important because it expands your scope, your reach, if you will. The fifth thing you want to do in terms of building a successful business is of course marketing and branding. Now, marketing and branding is really important, but I think a lot of times people underestimate the value of what it takes to properly market and brand your business. The brand obviously is a look, it's a feel, taking the time to understand the color schemes and patterns of your company, the message you're trying to create, the culture you're trying to create. All of these are important in terms of branding your particular company. Marketing is the lifeline of building your business. If you don't have marketing of some way, shape, or form, then chances are your business is not going to work. Now, the thing you want to understand about marketing, and most people just they don't understand this. It kind of goes back to the third point in terms of capital. You're going to need some form of capital to market your business properly. In this environment, the information superhighway, the main way that people market their business is through, like social media, Facebook, TikTok, those type things, ads. But to get traction with Facebook, TikTok, Instagram ads, and things of that nature, it can be extremely, and I mean extremely expensive. What we typically do, because Facebook may say, oh, look, if you put down $100, you can reach, a million people. It's not that simple. You actually have to go through a process of understanding how to create your specific audience, right? You don't want to just throw something to the wall and expect a return in terms of people who are eyeballing your product. You want to be able to specialize in terms of, okay, how do I get the people that I need to see my product, seeing my product, in terms of your demographics, in terms of your age group, in terms of whatever it may be. See, even though you may have a million people exposed to your product, what if you have a million people and most of those people are men, and you're talking to, just giving an example, most of those people are men and your product is maternity clothes. You see how that just is just a waste of money? Yeah, you're getting a million eyeballs, but a million, most of those people hypothetically are men, and you're talking about maternity clothes, then that does your business no good. It's ill marketing. So what you want to do is be able to study marketing, again, these are topics that some people in the Deep Dive Podcast group on Facebook, they mentioned some of the things that we need to talk about in terms of how to market your business and how to understand how to, to create just a niche of viewers that can increase your conversion rate. So we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, just understanding the fifth thing is to be able to have a good, solid marketing and branding concept. Developing a strong brand and effective marketing strategies. This actually, really, really, really helps increase your visibility, and it can attract customers in a big way. The sixth thing in terms of being able to build a successful Black business is mentorship and support. I talk about this all the time. I am a big proponent of mentorship because, as I've said in previous episodes, you can condense the time frame by not reinventing the wheel, right? And you cannot reinvent the wheel, or you don't have to reinvent the wheel if you learn from the mistakes of someone who has already done what you're looking to do, i.e. a mentor. So you want to find a good mentor, you want to find a good support system, because this can, really, really condense your time frame in terms of what your success looks like, but it can also save you so much money, to tell you not to do this or to do this just to make sure you're not wasting money. It can provide valuable guidance in terms of what you need to do in terms of building that successful business. It can help you navigate through challenges. You're going to go through challenges. If you're a business owner, you're going to go through challenges. Business is the most challenging entity or industry, especially Black-owned businesses, that you can participate in, but it can be the most rewarding if done right. Well, if you got a support system, if you have mentors, now also something that comes to mind while I'm talking about this, I think a lot of Black-owned businesses should be more willing to be mentored. A lot of times we have that crab in the barrel mentality, that Willie Lynch mentality, where we just don't want to support each other for fear of, whatever your fear may be. I don't want to get into all of that, but a lot of times we don't even want to mentor someone else because you think that, they're going to try to take what you're doing or whatever it may be. You know how we do, right? I think we should do a better job of being willing to mentor each other through our business journeys and challenges. I mentor people and companies and all the time, because I feel like the bigger that I can build in terms of a network of success this season, but it can only enhance what you're doing. You got a lot of soldiers out there who are massively successful all around the world. And I pride myself on that. I pride myself on mentoring people in all walks of life. I have people who I coach or mentor in terms of athletes or entertainers, business owners, CEOs. I have people who I actually right now mentor and coach who are leaders of developing nations. So these things are very important. If it's important for, developing nations, then it should be important for everyday business, just to have mentors and a support system that's willing to help each other. But then also will do their due diligence on both sides. I don't mean taking advantage of people's time. I don't mean that at all. I'm very respectful of people's time. I'm very respectful of their space. But I also like to avail myself to people, and then people also avail themselves to me in terms of mentorship. So that's very important. The seventh thing is actually just being persistent. Just being persistent. Having success in the Black community with business is going to take a Herculean effort to be successful, and you got to stick to it. You got to be resilient. You got to persevere. If you have a good plan, people may lie, but numbers don't lie, right? So you have a good plan, a strategic plan. And if you're going through this plan, A, B, C, D, going through the plan, doing the things that you've done based on your research. Remember the things we talked about, step 2, the education, the skill develop, because you've done that. You're on a plan, you're on a journey. But it's going to be a lot of challenges, roadblocks, stumbling blocks, whatever you want to call them, in the midst of your journey to ultimate success. Stay the course, guys. Stay the course. Just stay resilient. My company, One Voice Worldwide, is an 18-year-old company. And I take pride in that because when I started, people said that companies like One Voice will only last 1 or 2 years before they can't sustain themselves. Here we are in year 18, and I take pride in that. And even in the midst of being 18 years old, we still have so many challenges from people who don't want to support, people who, they just lack support, people who will try to chastise what you're doing, don't believe in what you're doing, all of these things. I don't let that bother me because I've grown above that type of thing. But when you're starting out in business, those things can be devastating to your business if you're not persistent, if you don't have that resilience. You may have a spouse, a significant other right there that's not believing in what it is that you're doing. Well, you have to be persistent. You have to stay the course, because ultimately, if you have a great strategic plan, a 5-year plan, then you're going to make some adjustments during that 5 years, but it's not over until it's over. So keep pushing, stay resilient, stay persistent. Just continue to grind with your business and don't let anybody deter you from what it is that you're looking to do. And last but not least, the 8th point I want to highlight in terms of having a successful business is just community support. Community support, whether it's a traditional storefront type business, whether it's an online business through e-commerce or whatever it is, building community support is going to be critical. Building and supporting Black-owned businesses can actually help create jobs. You got whether it's a mom and pop type store or whether it's a franchise, a chain of franchises, whatever it may be. You can create jobs. You can stimulate economic growth. You can strengthen the Black community just by having community support. You have this restaurant in your community, Black-owned restaurant. Recommend the restaurant to people. There's a Black-owned restaurant. I don't know if it's. I think it's expanded, but it's a Black-owned restaurant. I think there's multiple locations now in Atlanta called Pascal's. And when I was starting with my, journey in business, and I understood that this was a Black-owned business, Pascal's, I would always have my meetings. I'm like, hey, look, let's go to Pascal's, let's have lunch, let's go to Pascal's, let's have dinner, because I hadn't been there in a while, so I'm sure it's still open or whatever, but it was an opportunity for me to go to an establishment that was a Black-owned establishment. I knew that they had quality food, right? They had quality customer service. It was something that I could actually respect and feel comfortable bringing my clients or guests to dinner or lunch or whatever it may be at Pascal's. Well, that was a community restaurant where I constantly supported them, even if I had to, go out of my way from wherever I was to get to Pascal's or have my guests meet me at Pascal's. I knew that it was supporting their business and supporting mine. That's what I mean by community support, guys. I mean, yeah, you got all these other restaurants that you're going to pass by, your Texas Roadhouse or your Longhorn Steak or whatever the restaurants may be, you're going to pass by. But I'm talking about a Black-owned restaurant, Pascal's. There are a ton of them in Atlanta. We have so many Black-owned establishments here that we can build our own anything if we just support each other. So that's going to be critically important. So look, guys, these are just the 8 steps again to give you a little bit of a heads up on what it's going to take to have a successful Black-owned business. I mean, there are going to be nuances to it depending upon what your business is, what it is you're looking to do, whether it's online e-commerce type business or whether it's, like I said, a storefront So there are going to be nuances, but at the end of the day, these are some of the things that's going to help you become very, very successful in your business if you follow, the strategic plan, the education we talked about, and the stick-to-itiveness to make all of this happen. So I'm going to close out again by just asking you guys to, here we go. Here's an opportunity to support. Here's an opportunity to support. Go like the podcast. Go to the Deep Dive Podcast.live, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any of the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Google. We're on 22 different podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, download, and share. See, we say this every week, and this is a perfect opportunity, especially during Black History Month, to support. I say this occasionally, and I say it with pride, not being braggadocious, but the radio station that airs these podcasts is in 172 countries, and I own this radio station. Why not, support me and allow me to support you? I have a platform that could blow your business up around the world. A platform that I own. Nobody can tell me what to do with it. We produce podcasts through the One Voice Radio platform. This is something we own. We just talked about ownership. I own One Voice Worldwide in Farrah and the Hot Shot Mall. Support what we're doing. Sometimes, even if you have to give, a little bit more or go a little bit beyond the norm, this is how you or a community, you're strengthened just by supporting each other. All right. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate your time. Thank you so very much for joining me on this Black History Month episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share. Thank you guys so much. God bless, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world.